In the first quarter of 2020, the economy as we know it broke. But just a few months ago, the stock market was at all-time highs, unemployment was at historical lows, and we were all still going outdoors. What happened since then? In order to understand what got us here, we'll need to enlist the help of a few characters. And those are the man of the past, the man of the present, the central banker, and a mystery villain. And now I present to you Act 1. The 20th century was a time of rapid change in the world. If you knew a skill and worked hard, there was an opportunity for you to build a life. But that opportunity came in between waves of catastrophes. Wars ravaged the globe, and countless economic crises threatened to bring the man of the past to his knees. The world that was being built in the 20th century was a new one, and that meant that we were building it without a map or any kind of guidance. So whenever we faced a problem, we had to continuously come up with new solutions to try and solve it. But when economic crises hit like the Great Depression, we knew that we had to try and find new ways of maneuvering ourselves in the midst of these kinds of catastrophes. If history can teach us anything, then it's that necessity is the mother of innovation. When we're faced with a problem and we have our backs up against the wall, humanity digs deep to try and find radical and powerful solutions. But sometimes we don't know what the consequences of those solutions are going to be long term. We just know that it was the best weapon that we had at the time to use. And out of these crises of our past, a power would actually emerge that did not exist to its full extent before. Some people have even referred to this power as the most powerful unelected official in our very power structure today. Enter the central banker.
Good day, good sir. Why the long face, my dear fellow? What appears to be the problem?
Oh, I've just lost my confidence, you see. My confidence in our society is just completely shattered. If an honest person can't make a living in this world, then what's an honest person to do?
Well, worry not, my good sir. Haven't you heard? The gold standard is no more. That means the central bank can make your life joyous and bountiful once again.
You mean those fancy folk with the powdered noses? I don't trust them.
Well, excuse me. I happen to be one of those people, and I can assure you that we have no deceitful intention. The government has just simply granted us more control over the money supply and the interest rate thereof.
But I don't see how this makes anything better for me.
Do you like milk?
Well, of course. Farmer Layton has the finest.
And how much do you pay for a gallon of Farmer Layton's finest right now?
About $1.
How would you like to pay $5?
How would you like it if I knocked you upside the head?
Well, I wouldn't like that very much at all.
My answer is the same.
You know, perhaps we got off on the wrong foot here. All I'm trying to explain, my good gentleman, is that the central bank here is your friend. We're simply here to help control against runaway inflation and to help stimulate the economy when times are tough and to help cool it off when things are getting a little bit too hot. You see, we really are working in your best interest.
Alright, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. As long as Farmer Layton's milk price doesn't increase, I can't complain. With the end of the gold standard, central banks gained more control over the money supply. And that's because when the gold standard existed, you couldn't simply just increase the money supply, because then you would also have to increase the corresponding gold supply. So once the gold standard was gone, then once we transitioned to the new fiat currency system that we currently have in place today, this meant that the central bank had more power to attempt to cool off the economy if it was getting too hot, and also to try and stimulate it when times were tough. Essentially, they just had a larger toolkit at their disposal to try and guide the economy in what direction they wanted it to go. After each financial crisis that occurred, the central bank started playing a more prominent role and further solidifying them as a key component of the trajectory of our economy. Their actions have indeed helped us move through massive problems, and that cannot be understated, but they're also not omnipotent problem solvers either. Each solution that they come up with can maybe solve the present problem, but it usually leaves some kind of problem to be solved at a future date. The 21st century is a time of even more rapid development in the world. Just simple hard work won't cut it anymore. You'll need to learn quickly and adapt to change. But the possibilities to build a life for yourself are more plentiful than they were in our past. However, many of those possibilities were put on hold when our financial system experienced one of the largest stress tests in its history in the Great Recession of 2008.
Why the long face, my dear fellow? What appears to be the problem?
I'm sorry, but have we had this conversation before? I'm kind of getting hit with deja vu here.
Nope. Never.
Well, anyway, I'm just feeling really discouraged right now. I've tried adapting to new skills, but I just can't seem to get ahead in life. I mean, first I was a DJ, then a travel vlogger, and even a fashion influencer, but now I'm just a barista. I'm up to my eyeballs in debt right now, and now that this recession has hit, I just don't know what to do.
Tell me, my friend, if you could change your interest rate on your debt to whatever number you desired, what number would you change it to?
0%, I suppose.
Done. Interest rates are now 0%. Might I also interest you in some quantitative easing?
Quantitative what?
Quantitative easing. Here you go. Now go and buy yourself something nice.
Wow, this is amazing, but I don't understand.
Don't worry. Please, I invite you to listen to this message from our friends at the central bank. Hello there. Have you or someone you know been affected by the global recession? Talk to your president today about quantitative easing.
I maxed out my credit cards buying a whole bunch of clothes to curate my Instagram aesthetic. And then I lost my job. But after trying quantitative easing, I got a whole bunch of money that I could use to pay off my credit cards and do it all over again. Thanks, quantitative easing.
Side effects of quantitative easing include massive debt on future generations, inflating stock market bubbles, inflating housing bubbles, inflating inflation, and releasing the Kraken. Do not use quantitative easing if you are a nation with trillions of dollars in debt, a historically high stock market price to earnings ratio, or zero understanding of future implications of modern monetary policy.
Talk to your head of state today about quantitative easing.
In the midst of the Great Recession, the central banks enacted two of their main ways of trying to guide the economy. And those are setting the benchmark interest rate and open market asset purchases. Let's put this in layman terms. First, let's understand how the benchmark interest rate affects the economy. The central bank gets to set a target interest rate for the money that they loan into the financial system. This interest rate then cascades into the various aspects of our economy. The interest rate on a loan from a bank or the interest rate on your savings account at that bank could be affected by any changes to the central bank's benchmark interest rate. If the central bank decides to raise its benchmark interest rate, then that means that debt becomes more expensive because you'll owe more interest on that debt. So this has a cooling effect on the economy because it makes people want to spend less money. But when the central bank lowers its target interest rate, that means that debt becomes cheaper and it's easier to acquire debt, to service it, to keep it, and to use it. So that actually has a stimulative or a heating effect on the economy and makes people want to spend more money. Now let's talk about open market asset purchases. Without getting too deep, essentially the central bank can effectively print money and use it to purchase financial assets, and this is commonly things like treasury bonds from the government. The end result of this is that it increases the money supply, and this can have a stimulative effect on the economy, as the money should, theoretically at least, be trickling down the system to you. So to attempt to stimulate the economy in the Great Recession that happened in 2008, the central bank decided to drop interest rates down to nearly 0%, and they also enacted quantitative easing, which allowed them to essentially pump money and liquidity into the economy to try and stimulate it. And these two actions allowed businesses to continue to operate because they had access to cheap credit, which meant that they could keep their people employed, so then people received paychecks and then they could spend their paychecks back into the economy. In a lot of ways, the actions worked, and it seems like the economy has kind of been able to rebound since then. But as I said before, solving that problem in the short term kind of created a bit more of a problem in the long term. And that's because all that cheap debt that people had in 2008 didn't exactly go away. And now that interest rates are still super low, it means that people have access to cheap debt still, but they're not really paying it off. So we continued on for another decade with lots of cheap debt that was easy to service, and home prices were soaring, the stock market was roaring. It kind of seemed like perhaps we were well poised for a clean deleveraging phase in the economy when everybody would offload their debt. That is, unless we ran into some kind of maybe major unexpected obstacle, perhaps? Enter the mystery villain.
Hey there, where were you headed today?
I was just about to head to work.
Oh, oh no. That won't be happening for some time.
That's right, our mystery villain has finally revealed themselves, and this dreaded foe has single-handedly brought the entire global economy to a complete stop. Unemployment blew past historical records, and people became trapped in their homes. If our current low interest rate environment and crazy high debt levels was the powder keg, then this pandemic was the match that set it ablaze. And this brings us to our current economic environment. With interest rates already so low, and the government has already enacted quantitative easing pretty recently, they've kind of run out of bullets in the chamber to attempt to stimulate the economy at this point. But with that being said, central banks around the world have appeared to basically dug in their heels and taken a do-whatever-it-takes approach, which has seen them enact the largest monetary and fiscal policies that has ever been seen in the history of the world. If you live in North America or Europe, then you've seen your government do everything from giving citizens a check to subsidizing wages to giving small businesses loans. The cost of these programs is immense, and it's just so hard to wrap your head around. And that's because governments of the world are essentially shouldering the weight of all the businesses that can't operate right now. While it's definitely a drastic action, most economists around the world agree that this type of action is necessary. Now, I'm not an economist, but I do think that keeping interest rates low for extended periods of time and printing money at this scale will likely have consequences that are unintended, and the long term of which remain to be seen at this point. While I don't think that something like runaway inflation is likely given the deflationary forces that are acting upon the economy right now, I don't think anybody has any idea how this is all going to play out long term. Personally though, I do believe in the resilience and the ingenuity of humanity. Sometimes solving one problem does create another one, it's true, but oftentimes at that point when we do have to face that new problem, we're better poised to solve it. And if history tells us anything, it's that we've faced massive problems to get to where we are today, and we're better for it. Besides, I don't think problems are going anywhere anytime soon. And after all, I once heard somebody say that problems are a sign of life.